2003. You've just come home from watching Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. You turn on your PlayStation 2 to play some GTA Vice City. Honestly, nothing comes close to this. For years, we had to survive the endless Gen X obsession with 80s nostalgia. We got flooded with Ghostbusters remakes, endless Star Wars nostalgia bait, and an army of Remember the 80s shows desperately trying to recreate the magic of Stranger Things. But now it's our turn. The nostalgia machine has finally reached the 2000s, but what should be considered an indicator of the 2000s nostalgia? Well, let's find out. The first thing that comes to mind is the Y2K aesthetic, that weird futuristic vision of the future people had back then. Everything looked metallic, dark, edgy, slightly cyberpunk, and weirdly obsessed with leather trench coats. And honestly, we desperately need that aesthetic back, and nothing represents that energy better than The Matrix. That movie completely changed pop culture. For like 5 straight years, humanity collectively decided, what if everybody dressed like cyberpunk vampires? And somehow, it worked. Movies became darker, games became edgier, music videos looked like hacker propaganda. Every website looked like it could accidentally leak government secrets. And gaming absorbed this aesthetic perfectly. If you really had to point at one game that perfectly captures that dark, gritty, post-Matrix Y2K energy, I genuinely think that the answer is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. This game absolutely oozes the early 2000s energy. Dark clubs, leather trench coats, god characters, neon lit streets. Every character looks like they either came from a god nightclub or just walked off the set of The Matrix. And this game gets dark. At one point you literally investigate the origins of a snuff film operation like some vampire detective wandering through the city at night. There's this constant feeling that every alley hides something disturbing, like the world itself is rotting underneath the surface. That perfectly reflects the early 2000s, because there was a very specific darkness to that era. A weird obsession with violence, decay, underground culture, and psychological horror. You saw it everywhere. We had movies like 8mm with Nicolas Cage, which is honestly one of the most underrated thrillers ever made, if you ask me, of course. Just don't watch the sequel.
What can this be?
Then you had Manhunt, which was basically a snuff film simulator disguised as a stealth game. You had Vampire the Masquerade, exploring similar themes. Even mainstream horror movies during that time were unbelievably brutal. I think part of that darkness reflected the mood of the world back then. Maybe it was post 9/11 paranoia. Maybe it was the Iraq war. Maybe people were just becoming more cynical in general. I don't fully understand or know what's the cause of this phenomena, but I know that horror especially became incredibly mean during the 2000s. American horror leaned heavily into shock value and brutality. Meanwhile, though, Japanese horror was slowly pushing psychological horror into mainstream. And for a while, the torture horror era completely took over cinema before basically dying out in the early 2010s. But weirdly enough, gaming handled horror much better than movies did, because this was the era that gave us Resident Evil 4, Silent Hill 2, and Eternal Darkness. Games that focused less on pure gore and more on atmosphere, dread, and psychological pressures. And notice something funny? Most of those games are getting remakes now. Resident Evil 4 got one, Silent Hill 2 got one. I'm telling you, the 2000s nostalgia wave has already started. This is literally our era coming back in real time. We need more Y2K energy in modern gaming. So here's my proposal. Rockstar, bring back Manhunt. please, please, we can start slowly, maybe with a Fortnite skin for Piggy. I'm telling you, the kids will love it. But when it comes to movies and gaming, I think we've already seen the biggest sign of 2000 nostalgia returning, the comeback of video game adaptations. This feels like the first real step into the full 2000 nostalgia spiral. It started with Sonic becoming a surprisingly massive success, then came the Super Mario Bros. Movie, then the Last of Us show, then the Fallout show, and now we are somehow getting a God of War show that starts with the 8th game in the series, which is honestly insane if you think about it. So I have a suggestion. If we are truly bringing back 2000s culture, then we need to go full circle. We need to bring back movie tie-in video games. If you grew up in the 2000s, there's absolutely no way you did not play at least a few movie tie-in games, and weirdly enough, some of them were actually good. The Harry Potter games are probably one of the best examples of licensed games done right. Then you had Lord of the Rings tie-in games, especially the second one. Seriously, EA was absolutely unstoppable in the 2000s. And who remembers the Shrek 2 game? I used to play that game for hours after watching the movie. Back then, the game made the whole experience feel complete. You watched the movie, then you lived inside it afterwards through the game. This was peak 2000s entertainment. I'm serious, imagine a full-world open-world RPG beat-em-up Oppenheimer game starring the original cast reprising their roles. You might think this is a joke, but licensed games also gave us absolutely insane ideas. Because apparently there's a Dexter video game? You know, the TV show about the serial killer?
Surprise, motherfucker!
Yes, they turned that into a video game. And I genuinely thought that was the most absurd licensed game idea possible. But then I found out there's also a Sopranos video game, which raises so many questions. Like, how do you even sit in a meeting and say, you know what this HBO drama needs? A video game adaptation. Like, how do you even think about the gameplay? Or how do you design the gameplay? What's next? A Fight Club game? Oh, okay. But also, you know why I'm very excited for the 2000s nostalgia? Just imagine that, the PlayStation 2 just released. Just look at the graphics improvement compared to PlayStation 1. Xbox was making its way into the scene with a new console, their first step into the gaming industry. Nintendo was about to drop one of the best consoles in gaming history with Wii. The future looked so bright. We never knew what we were about to get next. We just knew that the next generation was going to be a big leap. And it was. Back then we've had so many different genres of AAA games. And not only that, they were improving the formula constantly. And most importantly, games did not take 13 years to make. I'm serious, just look at this. Look at how many games Rockstar released in a single decade. Now look at Ubisoft during the 2000s. Look, whether you love them or hate them now, they were putting out hit after hit after hit. It's honestly mind-blowing comparing that era to modern AAA development. Like, Rockstar has released 2 games in 14 years. That's insane. At this point my excitement for GTA 6 is genuinely starting to fade a little. Because while I'm still relatively young, there's a very real chance that this could be my last GTA game I ever experienced before I die. Which sounds ridiculous but also somehow completely believable. Just imagine measuring your lifespan based on how many GTA releases you probably have left. That's where we are now. Meanwhile, back in 2000s, Rockstar dropped what felt like an entire GTA every time you blinked. Not to even mention the new IPs that they were developing in the early 2000s. It felt endless. Gaming moved fast, studios took risks, and players constantly had something new to be excited about. Now, we are lucky if we get GTA 7 before an action alien invasion. So it wasn't just the aesthetics that made the 2000s gaming feel special. Gaming itself felt mysterious back then. Do you remember that 2002 Spider-Man If you finished it, you could unlock a cheat code that lets you replay the game as the Green Goblin. Did you know that? Because I didn't. Not that I could ever get past that stealth level. But what I want to say is that is what makes the game felt magical back then. You never knew if there was a hidden character, a secret ending, a creepy Easter egg, or some insane unlockable only 5 people on the internet knew about. Nowadays, that same feature with the Green Goblin would be marketed 6 months in advance before release as a pre-order bonus or worse as a battle pass. Another example is GTA San Andreas. Back then, everybody was obsessed with finding Bigfoot. I watched so many fake YouTube videos about it back then. I genuinely believed every single one. That uncertainty made games feel bigger than what developers officially showed us, like there was always one more secret hidden somewhere. Modern games feel way too safe now, slightly dangerous, completely unfiltered. You had weird cheat codes, broken physics, bizarre licensed games, insane online lobbies.
Goddamn little gay ass friends when they online with you, they ain't online with you now, is it? They ain't talking about dicks and shit. Shut the fuck up.
Look, I know the 2000s were not perfect, but we are probably going to do the same thing with today's culture someday. In 15 years, people are going to romanticize old Fortnite, old TikTok, Discord culture, streaming, even the terrible UI design we complain about every day. Because nostalgia doesn't care if something was objectively good, it only cares how it felt to be there. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for today's descent into early 2000s madness. So subscribe if you want to see more of that, and until next time.
See where all that blood on the walls looks like a finger painting.
You give me the fucking creeps, you know that, Dexter?
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that.